Good afternoon, greetings everybody. I'm Dr. Azar from Genesis Medical Center. We're here today, April 23rd, 2020, and we have the pleasure to be here at Shura TV. We're going to be discussing health and religious practices, and we're going to shed some light on different customs and traditions in the Islamic faith. Of course, the month of Ramadan is coming up. It's actually starting tomorrow, which is Friday, April 24th. And we wanted to shed some light on some topics which might be of interest to those who will be fasting. Of course, Ramadan is a month of fasting. For those that don't know, that might see this broadcast, people fast from sunrise to sunset. They abstain from water, food, any type of conjugal relations with their wife or husband. And it's a month meant to refrain from many of the things that normally take place. Anything that can help you attain that God consciousness and to strengthen the will of the human being. So it's a good training. Fasting is prescribed in many other traditions as well, in Christianity and Judaism as well. There's different times where they fast and in different modes. And what we wanted to do is kind of tie in the effects of fasting and these religious practices on your health. It's very important that we take measures to prepare ourselves for such occasions like Ramadan, which is a 30-day fast. It's the whole month. And it does take a toll on the body, but we must be aware and be conscious of how to take care of ourselves as well. There is a pre-dawn breakfast that is recommended, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, had recommended that you get up for it and have a light meal before you start the fast in the pre-dawn meal. So the key is to for Ramadan is to keep hydration. It's very important because we don't want anybody to suffer in terms of getting dehydrated during the daylight hours. And it's very important once you have sunset and you break your fast that you continuously hydrate yourself. And with hydrating, we mean that you have liquids that are absorbed and not liquids like tea or coffee that's going to sort of cause a diuresis in your body. We want something that's absorbed so it can actually replenish your tissues and your organs so you are having that water in your body. That's very important because, dehydration and fasting are things that can cause a lot of damage to the body if you're dehydrated consistently. So that's something to pay attention for those of you who are going to be fasting. And it's important to keep an eye on that because dehydration is the first step to a lot of other types of illnesses that could come about. Another thing that we have to keep in mind is the purpose of religious practice is to increase God consciousness. So at the same time, a lot of people might have different types of illnesses. For example, we might have severe diabetics that their sugar levels in the body are fluctuating daily, and fasting is not a good thing for those people. So there are things that they can do in lieu of fasting. They can, for example, feed some people that are hungry, and that'll suffice. You can ask your local scholar, local imam, specifically what to do. But if you have illnesses that are chronic, and you might be elderly, and it is very tough for you to fast, then it might be a situation where you can ask your local scholar or local imam from the mosque and discuss it with them. Tell them you have this illness and this sickness, and your personal doctor. Discuss it with your doctor as well, and they'll give you some guidelines on what to do and what not to do. And there is a dispensation for those who are sick, or also for those who are traveling. There's no hardship on people when they're fasting if you're traveling, and fasting is not prescribed for you. So you can take that dispensation and make that fast later. So these things are there within the context of the faith. So you should avail yourself of them and talk to your local scholars and your local imams and get the information so that you're not left making your body deprived and suffering and causing more sickness and illness. For people that are typically fasting and you don't have any major health issues, fasting is a very good thing. There have been many different types of research that have proven that fasting actually stimulates the body's dormant stem cells. They stimulated. There was a research study done at USC here in Southern California, and they showed that fasting actually increases regeneration and replenishing of the cells of the organs, whether it's your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, all these types of organs. Fasting is a very good thing for it. If you're a healthy person and you are fasting those 10 to 12 hours during that day, it gives the organ system, the stomach, the digestive system, it gives it respite. It gives it a chance to rejuvenate. And as we know, it's a very common thing nowadays in society. People do intermittent fasting for general health. So these, it is an opportunity for us coming up in these next 30 days with Ramadan. And, it's also a good thing in terms of in this COVID era. We've been sort of fasting from consumerism. We've all been home. Most of us aren't going shopping. Most of us aren't going to restaurants and dining like we used to. So in the last 4 to 5 weeks, we have sort of been abstaining from things, and our body has kind of adapted to that. And now for those that are Muslim, and we are starting the fast in Ramadan, we're going to be fasting from food and drink and conjugal relations and and lying and backbiting and all these other vices during the fast we have to abstain from. So it's very it's sort of a process which has now brought us to the month of Ramadan, and it's important for us to keep in mind. We've been sort of in seclusion. Everybody's been quarantined in their houses, and there's a silver lining to these things where we get to reflect about who we are, what we want to do with our lives, and what we've been doing. It's very important to assess that and kind of think about that, and it's good for us in terms of our mental abilities and our mental well-being and our what they call nowadays mindfulness. Mindfulness is a very important component of health. They say that the physical and biological health is important, but if you don't have the mindfulness and you're not aware, then you don't have 100% health or well-being. So I think it's important, and with this month of Ramadan, upon us, God willing, those of us who fast, we start fasting, and it kind of accentuates that mindset for us. That actually, we're supposed to reflect on our life and what we're doing and how we're doing it. And nowadays, we see in the media, there's this huge debate whether to open up the economy and open up the stores and shops and everything else, or whether to stay home and not do it yet and wait a little longer until everything settles down with this COVID-19 virus. So it's sort of like the balance between the fear of poverty, which people want to go out and work and start earning their livings, versus the fear of death, where those people that are just staying home and not going anywhere, they don't want to get sick, and then basically they don't want to die. It's the mortality that's facing them. And as people of faith, both extremes aren't good. We to lead a healthy life, we want to keep it in the middle. We don't want to have an extreme fear of death where we're completely anxious and nervous about this situation, and at the other side, we don't want to be fearing that we're not going to have our sustenance either. There are things that we're going to do, and there are jobs that we will get and we'll go back to, and things will turn for the better. So both ways, the extremes we want to keep away from, so that we don't suffer ill health in the process. Ramadan, going back to Ramadan, since it's coming up tomorrow, the fasting itself, is important, and the pre-dawn meal is important, and hydration is very important to keep hydrated. And I think it's very important to be mindful of what you break your fast with. Here in Southern California, I think it's around 7:30 in the evening that the sun sets, and that's when we'll be breaking our fasts. And at that time, it's very important that we have a well-balanced small meal, meaning that you don't want to have excess fat or excess fried foods. A lot of people tend to cook a lot of fried foods, and those things don't really replenish your body. What you want to do is have good, real foods that are low in saturated fats and high in the good fats like avocados. You can have fish and salmon and chicken and turkey, things like this, and red meat as well a couple times a week. But you want to kind of balance your meals and also make sure that you get your vegetables and your fruits and all that within that, from 7:30 to 4 a.m. basically. It's not a lot of time, but it's about 8-9 hours that you have to replenish your fuel for the next day that you're going to be fasting. So what we'll have is we'll have some programs during Ramadan that will kind of shed light on different types of foods that we can eat that are healthy for Ramadan and for fasting. And what we'll do is we'll have some reminders of that, and then also specifically we'll discuss some specific ways and things that we can do that can enhance our experience in terms of our health during Ramadan. So those things we'll get into in our future show. But today we just want to make sure that we hammer in the information that we have to have a balanced meal. We have to have good mindfulness, which means that your mindset should be one of ease and calm and awareness, because the whole purpose is to know what we're doing and reflect on it, and then to make sure that what we're getting for intake in terms of food and nutrition and drink and vegetables and water, make sure that it's balanced and it's not too much excess of any type of too many saturated or sweet foods, high saturated fats or very high sugary foods, because we want to avoid the peaks and troughs. We want to kind of keep stable in terms of our sugar and in terms of the fat intake as well, and that'll give us a better experience and better mindfulness in terms of our experience in this fasting month. Getting back to the idea of society and what's going to happen, and today actually the Orange County announced that they're going to open the beaches because there's a heat wave here, and I think it's going to be 80 degrees today and tomorrow. So they're opening up the beaches. Again, caution is to be taken. It's very important. The virus is still out there. Anybody can get it. And the social distancing has to be practiced until we make sure that, the curve is completely flattened in this area so that we don't get these people infected, especially now that we see that the virus is infecting people across different ages and it has different manifestations. And, the death toll has gone up. It's greater than 50,000 now. So it's very important to keep that in mind, and staying home and not traveling unless it's absolutely essential would be the wise thing to do. And during Ramadan, people who are fasting, typically we're used to going to the mosques at nighttime and praying together. You guys can pray at home together with your family and enjoy it this year that way. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's no clergy in Islam like that where you have to go somewhere to practice your faith. You can practice it at home very nicely. You have your family, you have your breaking the fast meal in the evening. So you can do all that, and you can do the congregational prayer. You can make adhan in the house. You can pray your tarawih together. It's a very good time and intimate time, and I think reflecting back in the future on this Ramadan, it'll be a different type of Ramadan where we'll have a little bit more awareness of our situation. With these things, I hope that we can keep these in mind. If you have any questions, any concerns, you can always reach us at genesismedcenter.com. We have a form there you can fill out if you have any specific questions. If you have any specific needs or advice, we're also going to publish a Ramadan guide that's in the process right now in terms of health-wise for people to just kind of have as a reference. We'll have that on genesismedcenter.com for people who are fasting, and we'll send it to the Shura TV mailing list as well, so that you have that with you. And if you have any other questions or concerns, we're here to help you, and wishing you a great Ramadan, and we hope that we can be of service to you. I wanted to thank you for that, and then we'll see you next time on our next show. Thank you. My name is Dr. Yama Azar. I am the managing partner here at Genesis Medical Center. Genesis Medical Center is a comprehensive clinic where we provide wellness and preventative medicine to our clients. Mainly, we are in the business of providing stem cell therapies, PRP therapy, IV vitamin therapy, hormone replacement therapy. We treat conditions such as joint disease, autoimmune diseases, neurocognitive diseases. We are one of the only clinics that specialize in these things specifically. We don't do it as a side. The main difference that we offer to our clients is that we plan and make it our intention to educate our clients before they make decisions on treatment. We have time to spend with our patients, and I think that increases the quality of care as well as the quality of compliance.